Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Realnesss with 3S's. I'm here, of course, with my lovely co-host. We have up top, we have Jojo. I'm going to turn this other side.
Yo, 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 yo.
And we have Jonathan.
Hey.
And we have this week's latest evictee. We have Curtis Platt. Curtis, say hello.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Curtis, I'm so mad at you.
Well, I could say the same thing to you.
So mad at you.
You could have protected me.
Okay.
Woulda, shoulda,
I
woulda.
really thought that you could still persevere and survive, and I thought it was going to be more epic that you can come and take them down without having any help. I had full faith in you to be able to overcome, because you did. You overcame.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you would have won that veto no matter what. So if you didn't go down and play prank or no prank, you would have been sitting pretty. You would have had those properties, most likely of winning the veto in the following week, and you would have secured yourself all the way to Final Four. Like, what the F?
Yeah, no, it was ultimately, I'm like, there's little butterfly effect things throughout the game, but like, that is the dumbest thing that I could have done at that point. I think it was literally just like a momentary lapse of judgment, basically, of like, shouldn't I, kind of back and forth. And then like, well, I already knew I was on the block. So I was like, well, I'm going to be on the block probably every week unless I win HOH at this point. And it's 50-50, which for me is good odds, but obviously I should probably rethink that. But like, I thought, okay, well, maybe it's I get the good thing. And I figured it was based on looking at like past seasons and like different things we hadn't had yet. I thought, okay, maybe it's either diamond veto, which is decent, but like nothing crazy. And then there was another one in a past season where you could get, your vote was worth 2 votes one week and then 3 votes the next week. So I was like, oh, if it's that would be crazy. Yep. So whatever, let me just give it a try. I'm on the block anyways. Who cares? I'll just give it a shot. Not thinking like, well, like you don't need to, like it's not worth it, and like it kind of only can have a bad outcome for the most part. And I was like 99% sure Lindsay was picking the right one, even without her prank protection. During that previous veto comp, like 5 days before we played prank or no prank, she was already like, hey guys, I know it's early, but I'm going to pick lemon when it's prank or no prank. And I was like, how do you already know what you're going to pick? Like, and then the parent, no, I don't, that's the thing is outside of the game and like in my right mind, I don't believe anything throughout the season was rigged in any way. But when you're in the game and like you're thinking not fully straight, like there's probably, I would say the Brandon CJ powers during the double eviction felt like a rig at the time. The paranoia got me there a little. I would say, honestly, with the winner's choice, because Nick had been on this show before, I had a feeling that Lindsay or Nick was gonna win. And then because I did like a video and stuff, like Jojo did a video last year and he won. And I wouldn't ever think, but in the moment I was like, oh, Chantele, like, and then like picking Lindsay protects Nick, but you don't pick Nick. So I was, you get in your head. And then Lindsay was so on the ball with Lemon, and like she's super close with Andrew, and I was just like, I know I shouldn't be doing this, and I almost picked Strawberry a couple weeks before that, but I was like, no, it's not worth it, because it was like 25%, then it was 33%. I was like, no. Then it was 50. I was like, screw it, and it was just dumb.
Can I ask? That's my own fault. Can I ask the big question though? Because sure. I'm in the same boat as you. I picked my Pooh Brown veto because I did not want Caitlin to last year to get a good thing, even though obviously it didn't work out. But my big question is, why did you put yourself on the block this week after you won veto? Because I wasn't even eligible to play. Yeah,
that changed.
But why did you you won it, and anything could happen within a week. If Marcin won HOH, even if you didn't, you'd be protected because of the department. So why did you, after winning it, decide that you were going to use the poop round veto is my big question.
Yeah, and it's a fair question, and it's like multi-factored. I think like sometimes in my own personal life when I make a mistake and I realize I made a mistake, I tend to maybe double down on it and make it worse. So that's probably just like a subconscious thing. But in terms of how I was thinking game-wise, I had done I had looked at every single possible outcome because like Lindsay was HOH. So I looked at, okay, if I'm up against Brazil, if I'm up against Cat, if I'm up against CJ, like, or it couldn't be CJ or Nick this week, but Brazil, Cat, or Marcin, every outcome. Brazil, I wasn't going to beat because everyone likes Brazil and just I have the comp wins and whatever. So I just didn't see that happening. And CJ and Cat would automatically protect her, I would think. And then Marcin and Nick, even if they voted to keep me, Lindsay would have taken me out on the tiebreaker. And then same with Kat, I thought, well, she's a big threat. Like she has 2 guaranteed jury votes. She's really good socially in the game as well. Even though like the other day she had a little blow up, if that was even real, who knows? But like she's really good at the game. And like the comps are so luck based. Like my comp record was overblown for sure in terms of me being a threat. So I just thought she was the biggest threat. And against Marcin, if I had taken Kat down and gone up against Marcin, which in hindsight I should have maybe considered more than I did, because I didn't believe CJ would flip. I thought she would still want me out, but she did want to also be the last bus driver, so I should have thought about that more. But I also ultimately trusted Nick and Marcin to protect me.
But it's kind of like we're getting near to the end at this point, and so you're like your strongest allies. Like eventually, one of you guys are going to have to go home. Eventually, they would never nominate you.
No,
but
for sure.
Have you up there? It's like, oh, I mean,
take a
it's
chance.
the only time it can really do it, and not to say that. Like I think that it was probably going to be your best shot at being against Kat because she would probably be, in my opinion, maybe the biggest threat of possible people to be sitting beside. But like you'd have a full week to like be able to negotiate and change the plan and flip the script. And so I was like, when I saw that you took the poop round, I was like, okay, well, if he's going to win now with this new twist on the rules, I'm like, at least he'll make it to the next week and he can maybe figure out how to stay. Like, I don't know. I thought that, you kind of said if it's going to be either this week or next week, it doesn't really matter, but it does matter because time is everything. And you also would have a comp finish.
That's why I thought you were safe. I was like, oh, he must have something worked out with, Nick and Marcin, and he must be safe. That's the only reason I think that he's using it now. But
no, and they played me well. I felt safe. Like I didn't feel like safe. It was still like tense the whole weekend. And in the pit of my stomach, something didn't feel right. But I was like, it was just too much indecision. And I did just, when I looked at all the possible scenarios for next week, because if I use it next week, then I can't play HOH or Veto. So I'm on the block again. And then I'm either up against any of them basically, except Kat, because she would probably be the one gone. I didn't think that I was going to, even with a week, anything can happen for sure. Yeah, and maybe I should have given that more thought.
If Kat won, she could have been like, look, you and I are on the bottom. Let's team up. And maybe, like Chantele said, things could totally change.
And I think I wasn't prepared to turn on Marcin and Nick. I was like legit, like I want the final 5 to be me, Marcin, Brazil, Nick, and Lindsay. Like, well, because Kat had just had to go. Nothing against Kat, but I was up against her, so she had to go for me to stay.
You were also on the block at Final 7. You can't decide the Final 5 when you're on the block.
Yeah, I made that mistake trying to like play the loyalty thing, and like the reason it didn't work was because I had already kind of broken the loyalty thing because what I found out couple nights ago when it was pretty much too late was that Nick and Marcin kind of lost all their trust in me when Ryan did his interview with you guys and spilled everything about the Final 5, knowing about MNBC, and MNBC never knew about like Final 5 in its official capacity. So Nick told me and Marcin told me that once that happened, like at that point they were just waiting for their chance essentially. Like they lost trust in me, and even though I made good points about why Kat should go, it was gone. I was done at that point. So they were going to take their chance. They were going to take their shot whenever they had the chance.
Why didn't you let them know about that other group? Were you more loyal to Ryan, Cat, Brazil, you, Brenda?
Yeah, so it was a combo. I think so. Because of the timeline, like it started off with The Cure first, which was Ryan Cat. Right, well, it was Ryan Cat and I started a chat, and then we all said that we really like Brazil, so we brought her in, and then I don't remember if it was Ryan or Kat or both of them, but they decided to start another one and bring Brenda in. We all said we like Brenda, but it all happened so quick, and like I don't know if I was like fully comfortable with 5, but like, and in hindsight, it didn't really work out for me with Brenda, but that happened, and then I was talking genuinely good with Nick and Marcin privately, and we all said we liked each other, so we started a thing, and the final 5 was like, oh well, you and Brenda should be close with Nick and Marcin, so there was some element of like, at least to start, where it was a bit of a like more loyal to final 5 than MNBC kind of thing. But at that point in the game, it's so early, everyone's strangers. I was basically kind of trying to be like in 2 alliances at once, and everything I did and everything I said was to make sure that both groups was attempting to make sure both groups were working together. So I would frequently
the Cure knew about MNBC, so why wasn't it reciprocated the other way around? Like, if you're going to play a double agent, why were you more loyal to one than the other?
So Ryan and Brenda got in my head a bit. Ryan, because of his fast forward to jury, was a factor, because now there was no like turning on Ryan at any point. Not that I had those thoughts necessarily, but it was kind of like he, at that point you couldn't really, it was nerve-wracking to go up against him in any kind of way, even like with ideas about how we should play certain moves. I wouldn't push too hard just because, he's pretty strong with his opinions, and I got nervous that like, if I'm causing too much of a ruffling of feathers or whatever, that who knows what's going to happen. I don't know if he would turn on me, but I was just trying to play it super safe. And then Brenda, just as the weeks went on, she made multiple comments to me about certain ways I was talking, and I could tell that the vibes just weren't working anymore, and she was getting more and more fed up with me as the weeks went by. And so I just felt like,
I understand what happened there. Like why is Brenda so upset with you?
So I can't answer to like the level of her anger, but like it started fairly early. I don't remember, I didn't go back and check the week or whatever, but at one point in MNBC she called me out in front of Nick and Marcin for mansplaining and stuff like that, and I like, no one's ever done that to me before. I'm sure I've been doing it for a long time, but like I was just like, I'm so sorry, like I hope, whatever, I'll try to be better kind of thing. I know I talk a lot. And then she brought it up in the final 5 as well, just like, I guess to let them know that she called me out for that in MNBC. And so I just apologized again there. And like, I probably didn't listen properly enough to her and like try to like do better in the way that she wanted. And like, I think it was just too much of me in general. I think ultimately, like I think she mentioned last week, like it wasn't necessarily anything specific for her. It was like more of a vibe. And also she had me talking game in Final 5. She had me talking lots of game in MNBC. And MNBC was me, Nick, and Marcin. So it was like a lot of like guys just talking, oh, we should do this, we should do this. And like, both groups thought they were running the game. And like they were together, just they weren't fully aware that they were doing it together necessarily all the time. But like, Nick was
Ryan actually controlling everything?
Nobody was controlling everything. Like it was impossible to like be in full control. He had great ideas for sure, and like he was involved heavily. I would never deny him that, but he definitely, I think, overinflated a bit his control of everything. Like if anything, my one thing that I was, well, throwing CJ the veto at the double eviction, I wasn't down for that. I didn't know they were doing that. I screwed up and got $1 in the second round and turned off my phone and tried to enjoy the rest of my day, and then found out later they threw it to CJ. If I'd known, I hopefully would have said something. I don't know if I would have, but I would have rather taken a chance so that there's no powers going in into the jury part of the thing. But earlier than that, week 3, Kat had put Jack and CJ. Jack and CJ were on the block, and the plan was always to evict Jack. And I mean, there was a little bit back and forth in the beginning because of mole kind of thing, but we were all pretty sure Ashley was the mole from like day one. Once we found Kat caught her in a lie about being in the runner-up to in season 2 or whatever, we were all like, oh, she seems like the mole. But yeah, the vote was supposed to go 6-5 to evict Jack, and that was because Marcin and Brenda were in the Big Brother Secret Society Alliance, and they were like our moles, just getting information for us from, I think it was Jack, Brandon, Ashley, and Lynn, or something like that. And I had confirmed with Lindsay and Megan they were going to vote to evict Jack, and we would have had the votes perfectly so that Marcin and Brenda could keep their cover. I told Jack I was going to be that swing vote, and whatever, if I get caught in the lie, it doesn't matter. I'm not in their side alliance, so not a big deal. I'll take that heat. And I made like a fake screenshot and everything, and it was like pretty legit, I thought. I mean, no one ever said anything about it. But then I came to the final 5 and I said, hey, Brenda, like, did you vote to evict Jack? And then she said, no, Ryan told me to evict CJ. So I was like, oh, no, change it. And then there was some talk, and I was like, forget it, whatever. Like, it is what it is. It's done. I don't remember if it was too late or if we were just like, it doesn't matter. But like, I think that honestly kind of screwed up Brenda's game a little. Was her taking that advice from Ryan. I don't know what their game was. I think they were not trusting Lindsay and Megan. There was a lot of talk early on about them not being comfortable with Lindsay and Megan, because I think Lindsay maybe knows Ashley like outside of the game or something. I can't remember, but they seemed like they might be working together for a bit. So I trusted Lindsay and Megan, even when I put them on the block. But like,
I actually think that Ryan's worst move was getting out Brandon, because Brandon was on his like a department.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Like that was just a little bit more protection for him. Other people would be coming for Brandon, I think, before they would be coming for Ryan, like another in front of him. So I think that was like a domino effect with like how things have been kind of going from this point forward. So I find that interesting that he still wants to claim being like the hero of the season when like he actually ruined it.
and he's a good player, but like, yeah, I mean, he made mistakes like the rest of us. And like you couldn't do anything without everybody being on board. Like so many competitions were played as teams. Like I laid it out in like for the people this weekend, like literally week 1, my HOH was a combination of luck and people throwing it to me. Week 4 was the virus. Literally, we orchestrated, like as a team, not like me and Ryan, but everybody, like, okay, infect, like the first 5 infections, infect people that you're allies so they can save allies. And then we stack the allies and then see what happens. And then it just happened that it worked out between me and Marcin. Maybe I should have given that one to Marcin, but like that week wasn't that big a deal. It was more the double eviction that I wish didn't have to go to me. I wish that one went to Marcin, but Marcin has a family, and like that was an endurance comp that was just not going to work out. And it couldn't be anyone in accounting or customer service because of the department twist, which was a huge factor. That's why it had to go to me, because I had the most people to nominate, and like I had Final 5 and MNBC, so the only people left to nominate were Brandon, CJ, Lindsay, and Megan, and I had gotten closer with Lindsay and Megan, so that really sucked. But like they were just, it was like a first come first serve of loyalty kind of thing. Like they were just kind of unfortunately next up, and I wanted Brandon and CJ to go home, not for anything personal, but Brandon was going to come for me because he thought I was with Ryan, which was true, and he couldn't go for Ryan, so I was definitely his number 1 target. And CJ would have been the second time I nominated her, and it was just someone to get rid of that I wasn't working with. And then I wanted Lindsay and Megan to stay, and Ryan got it in his head that Megan was throwing comps, and the comps that he thinks she threw, like the one she won, she guessed an answer for the last question, even though she didn't need to, like she was guaranteed to win. But she told me that she knew that answer.
Yeah, she told us too.
So I was comfortable. I believed her. Like she's a smart girl. Like I thought she played the game really well for as long as she was in there. And it sucked for that to happen. And then even the lightning bolt one, I know Ryan refuses to believe that someone could like mess up the letters in those ways, but I think in panic mode, 100%.
It's so nerve-wracking. Yeah. Like I even fucked up one of those. Buzzkill. Like it's really,
Exactly.
It's very easy to make a mistake. But just from the beginning, though, what's your level of fandom with like Big Brother in general? How did you get involved with Cheesecake? It's so random.
Yeah, no. Well, I know Andrew from elementary school, and then he went to French immersion in like grade 5, and then again we reconnected in high school. We were never like.
St. Mike's though?
At St. Mike's, yeah. At St. Mike's, yeah.
It's so funny. We used to say like, "Oh my God, St. Mike's boys are so cute."
Yeah.
Boys.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of going there at the time, but it was fine in hindsight. But I remember we used to play a lot of Connect 4 in elementary school, and then high school. I think we had like one science class together. I wasn't really close with him, and then just Facebook friends since then. But Big Brother wise, I actually only got into it last year, like season 7 of the Canada version, because I was moving, like in Kelowna, I was moving from one apartment to another. And well, that response will be funny because I was watching TV in the lobby, and all of a sudden I look on TV and this face pops up that I recognize. And if you remember that cast, Kelowna, but it was actually Mark, one of the other pretty boys, Mark D. And I went to college with him in Toronto, radio broadcasting at Humber Radio or Humber North or whatever. So like, and he was an interesting character, and like back in the day, like just in terms of his social and like how he deals with people and stuff. So it's like, I feel like I gotta watch this. Like him interacting with people seems like that could be pretty entertaining. And then I just got hooked on the concept and like the live feeds, just because a lot of shows, reality shows, it's all produced, so you don't know what you can really believe. Whereas with live feeds, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I can like legitimately get into the strategy and like know what's happening, even though you know a lot of the episodes what's about to happen. I found it way more interesting. So season 7, and then I went back and watched I've just watched the Canada seasons, but like I was into the live feed.
Strategic reality shows or like
no, I watched Survivor when it first came out, and then I think the last season I watched of Survivor was like the All Stars with Rupert. Sounds familiar? Like season 5 or something. It was pretty early. I stopped after a while.
Season 8.
Yeah. Oh, season 8. Okay. And then so but I haven't really watched I watch a lot of TV, but not really any reality TV. Now I watch Big Brother.
Homework? Like, have you got the Big Brother bug now? Like, are you going to become a historian like we are?
Canada, I will. U.S., I'm not going to go back. That's too much.
There's some goodies.
For sure.
Better.
Yeah. I've heard lots of great things, and I'm sure that it is, but it's too much at this point.
If you want to go back and watch, I would suggest watching just the first few. Like, watch from season 2 to like season 8. Okay. And like you'll understand why we are Big Brother fans.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I remember you mentioned like your favorite seasons and stuff, so I'll get the hits. And stuff like that. But yeah, the Canada one I like a lot. And like, I don't know, I feel like in terms of this version of the game, it's really unique. I think Andrew does an amazing job, and it's so detailed. Like it was way more commitment than he let on, and like obviously because otherwise people wouldn't play probably. but like it's also way more commitment if you're trying to like win and like play strategically and be like not in control but like in the know as much as possible, which I'm very competitive and I like to play games. I can lose fine, but like I like to win, and I like to like have a say in how I win.
Well, your numbers are, you have the 3 HOHs you said and 1 veto, right?
2 vetoes.
So that's 5 wins.
Mm-hmm.
So you're very likely to be invited again into All Stars, which is next season, and I'm going to steal one of Chantele's questions. Would you return?
I would like to, for sure. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Do you know what you would do differently, if anything?
I mean, I probably would try and be a little less involved, if I could, depending on who's in the house and how it all goes down.
It's all of us right now.
I don't know. It's tough because I thought I actually played I thought I did strategically really well this game.
Yeah, I think you did a great game, but
That's why I wore this. I thought you were the one.
The one. But you're missing maybe a little like strategic edge, perhaps, or some sort of guidance outside of Ryan.
Daddy Ryan. Ryan.
And so, just to kind of steer you in the right direction, because honestly, I'm going to put it out there. I really do think there's one person running this game, and they have from day one. And I'm not in the house, obviously, but from the outside, it's what I suspected. It's been happening. It's flowing like I expected it to. And I do think that person, one in particular, is controlling everything. And so you kind of, being up there, like, this person needs to start cutting people. I think it was too tempting. So I think that's why you're in your position and not, here in a few weeks, why you're here now.
Yeah.
But
I thought you had it till Final Four. Honestly, I really did.
Yeah. No, and obviously anything can happen in a week, but it was very hard for me to see making it past next week. Like, they wanted to take the shot. They're going to take the shot this week or next. And I think maybe, after 65 days, you're like, again, just a momentary lapse of like, screw this. I'm just going to get it over with now. I don't want another week with the poovy. I don't know. There's so many, like you said, there was no focus. A lot of like just thoughts all over the place and not committing, because I was like loyal 1 second in terms of this week, even just like, okay, go with the loyalty card. And then like, okay, maybe I'll like cut them loose and do something crazy. And like, no, that's too crazy. I'll go back to loyalty. And it's like, it was too late.
Who would you have nominated if I had given you the head of household?
If I had been head of household, I realistically probably would have done Cat and CJ just to keep the peace for a bit.
Well, hold on. You in your plan.
I know.
You wouldn't put up CJ.
I know. I had to say that. I was trying to win. But realistically, I would have done that, and yeah, maybe I would have been okay with. Kat was interesting because like Kat, she was in the 5 and like worked really well with her all season. But once Ryan left, like I obviously knew she was going to vote for Ryan, so it wasn't that like I expected anything different. But there was just like something about that relationship from there, and we continued to talk beyond that eviction. But there was just something there. I was like, I feel like now I can I can't trust that relationship as much, and I may have been wrong about that for sure. But there's just something there that I feel more comfortable with the people like Marcin and Nick, and even Lindsay to some extent. Although honestly, Lindsay worried me the most, because Lindsay and Nick are like, they're, going all the way if people don't get them out, kind of thing. Like, they're locked in together at this point. Because Nick and Marcin were fully in on our MNBC as far as I knew, like talking Final Four and stuff from early days, and like Marcin was a mole for us in multiple alliances, and like Nick was close with Lindsay and Megan because of their department, but also they might know each other outside the game. I don't know why I have that impression, but they're super close. And but Nick would even share us like screenshots from like his conversations with Lindsay and Megan. Like, they called themselves the puppeteers, and like it wasn't anything necessarily too crazy, but it was stuff like to try and help things move along and make sure we're on the same page. So I feel like Nick was literally just playing a better version of what I was trying to do. I'm assuming that's who you're talking about in terms of running the game. I don't necessarily consider anyone's running the game, but in terms of leading the pack, if you will, I don't know if that's different.
You and Ryan and like your wording, it's like, just call it what it is.
Yeah. Well, no, and
this like fancy bow, running the game and finessing the way things go. Are you rooting for anybody right now?
No, I'm just going to be open-minded, hope for the best, see what happens. I don't have any ill will against anyone. I think Lindsay and Nick are a strong final 2, and Marcin is definitely working well with them, but he's back to work now, like driving transit, and he's got young kids, so just in terms of that alone, I feel like it might be a struggle for him comps-wise. So if he ends up on the block, they might cut him at some point. Cat is obviously a threat to them. Brazil seems to be good with people, but she's only won the one endurance comp, so I don't know what'll happen there. And then CJ's just doesn't seem to be playing anymore. I think she's just chilling.
Curtis, what would your ideal Final Four be? Like, most exciting, biggest explosions? Who should be the 4 players that are there?
I mean, probably in terms of like
everything.
I'm trying to think. I mean, Lindsay and Nick would have to be in there just in terms of like they can both win comps and they're both great socially and just all around have played a solid game. And then, I mean, just for fun, I would say like throw Kat in there because she's not afraid to speak her mind and do her thing. And then I don't know, be a toss up between Brazil or Marcin.
I don't want toss ups. Give me a name.
Yeah, I'm thinking out loud. Let's just say Brazil. Just because then it's like accounting versus customer service and whatever. Okay. See what happens. Okay. I will say I thought the department twist should have ended at jury. That would have been
totally
better.
We were just talking about that.
Because that was the reason I had to take the double eviction, which is fine. But like that could have affected, and it probably wouldn't have at the time. Like looking back, maybe I would have done the same nominees, but I wouldn't have been necessarily as worried about Brandon. Because I actually was at one point thinking, because Lindsay and Megan reacted so poorly to me telling them they were going on the block, I was starting to be like, maybe Lindsay and Megan should go. Like, I don't know if this is going to be repairable, and they're going to come for me. So it was an idea that was floated in MNBC, and it was like nobody shot it down or anything. But then I was like,
"You're gonna be taking the fall," but yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. But like, and like I wasn't worried about CJ necessarily. She hadn't won any comps to that point, or I think she won. Oh, they threw her the veto. But Brandon was my main concern because he couldn't go for Ryan and Kat, so he would come for me. And at that point, it's like, well, he can actually he's won comps and come close a couple times. So, yeah, I mean, you run through like a million scenarios throughout the game, and the paranoia is up and down as you go, and then yeah, you end up on your show.
Are you gonna allow Ryan to control your jury vote?
No. I looked back through their chat when I got added in this morning. It didn't seem to be too much. And like with messaging, you can never tell if someone's joking or not. Like when he said something about like getting credit or something finally or whatever. Like I don't know if he's joking or not. And like I said, I thought he was responsible for some things, but like he couldn't have got that stuff done without the teamwork. And that's why I say for Nick, like forget the semantics, but like Nick's playing probably the best socially. Like everybody loves Nick, and I don't know, but if you're doing spoilers, but he's up to 3 comp wins now, so he's in full control at this point. We'll see how my Monopoly pieces get divvied up, because he'll get whatever one he wants, and then I get to choose.
I would think you'd take green. That would be what I would.
Just because it's the extra space, it would make sense. I did think the blue because he has the dark purple, so that whole corner by go would guarantee maybe more of a chance. But yeah, either one, and then I get to choose to give one to somebody, and then the third one's a random draw. Yeah, I sent it. Yeah, I won't tell you, but I don't want to. I don't know when you're releasing it, but
you want us to release it? When is he releasing it? Oh, I want a spoiler.
I think you'll find it on the video tomorrow, or yeah, you can ask Andrew, or I can tell you when you're done recording. But I'll message you on Instagram. But yeah, and then the third one's random draw, so it'll have an effect. Hopefully it at least makes it more exciting. And I knew Monopoly, like it's so dumb, like this veto, like the dumb Foo Brown veto, man. I can't even like it's gonna take some time for me to like get over it for sure. Because
are you over it yet? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Jonathan, are you over it?
Oh, am I over? Sorry, I didn't hear you. My dog's like barking in the background. But no, I'm not, and I'll never.
Yeah. I'm worried I'll never get over it.
And listen, I would have survived it if it wasn't for Jojo, so I completely blame him 100%.
Yeah.
And also, though, if he hadn't have gone in, he would have been Final Four 100%.
Yeah, like, you had to play, didn't you? Like, didn't you have to play in yours or something?
No, I didn't have to die.
Oh, you didn't.
I was being stupid. I was being. Jojo was like, 4 is my favorite number, and I'm like, I feel like I have to, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, and I was freaking out at the last second, and I just did it because I did not trust Caitlin, and so I understand what that's like. I'm totally there with you.
Yeah, it was so dumb though. It was so unnecessary.
The final countdown, like 4 minutes before it was closed, he decided to change his mind and go and dive down and get to the friggin'.
And then it was like,
you know what?
That's slightly worse.
I mean, I don't know if this is the time and place to explain any of that, but it's like I really had to. I saw what was coming, and I don't know if you're the same, and I'm like, I need to change things up, and I can't let Caitlyn win this power and save herself, and she needs to go because I know what's happening. And Chantele, Alvin, Jojo, like they have too many people on their side, and it's just I'm not winning this unless I make moves. And even when I had the Pooh Brown veto, I would have survived it if Jojo, my number one, and I thought I was his number one. We made literally we made an alliance. If he had just voted for me, I would have stayed because I had Julian's vote as well. And I would have survived it. And I knew that putting myself up would really test that out. And it's like, I might as well, go big or go home right now because it's not worth it otherwise. So
also, though, if he had played it the week before, it was undoubtable that he was going to stay. And so, but he wanted to keep Julian. And so the fact that he pushed it to next week, I told him, I'm like, Lynn's going to take you out.
Well, Julian won Julian won.
He won
won the veto the week before, but then the week that I went home was because I decided to
take Julian off.
To save Julian because he was by himself. And I was like, I want to,
Sorry, there was two, but yes.
And I wanted Lynn at Final Four.
Point being is that when it gets down to the nitty gritty, and you are a threat, that you're a threat to a certain, you've had comp wins, like regardless of they're throwing it to you or it was finagled that you were going to win, or however you want to say it, whenever people get you up there, it's just an easy opportunity to be like, oh my God, it was our only chance. I would have never nominated you. You were up there. And we had to take the shot.
No, I have only myself to blame, 100%. Like, there's factors that affect things, but it was just, and it, like, I had same thoughts that you had, Jonathan, in terms of like feeling like not the same in terms of need to change things up because things were going super smoothly for the most part. But it was my second time on the block in 3 weeks by Lindsay. I knew Lindsay and Nick were close, and I played out every scenario, like I said, and next to every scenario where I thought I might actually be safe in this scenario, but in brackets I put, but I need to keep an eye on Lindsay, Nick. And I'd had that like 10 times for every scenario that they were the two I was worried about the most. And I mean, I was right to worry, but I should have been thinking about that before I played prank. I should have thought about that. I only really did that analysis after I got it. I didn't think it fully through, and I just made a rash decision, and it was just unnecessary.
Having the prank protection too, so like, I don't know. I feel like it just made.
Well, the prank protection didn't factor in because I was like, well, if she picks the poo, like it doesn't matter if she gets the poo veto, it doesn't matter if she gets it because then whatever, it's nullified, but then I get the good power, and if she gets the good power, then either way the prank protection doesn't affect me. It's just a 50-50 chance. If she gets the wrong one, then I get the right one, or vice versa. But it was just like, even though I was going on the block, and I obviously let that get to my head too much at the time on that day, there was still the veto to play, and maybe if I didn't win it, I could still maybe get out of it. But if I win the veto, then I'm safe, and I don't even have to worry. So I didn't. It's just dumb, I can explain it in so many different ways, but it's just dumb, ultimately. So
I was trying to like send you like mental telepathy. I'm like, just like, don't use it this week. Don't use it this week.
Yeah, that point, I mean, is totally valid, but I'm less. I don't feel that bad about using it this week. I'm more just disappointed that I played at all.
I didn't dive down for most of the game. I think I dived down maybe the first 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah. And
once, like, I think Pooh Brown Veto went out, whatever. But like when that happened, I was like, oh, I don't want that. Let's stop. Yeah. Oh no, I did dive down. No, I lost my boat. It was called seaweed tape, and I lost.
For 1 week, yeah.
So, but Nicole already got Pooh Brown in like week 2 or something, so it was the bad.
I didn't care about losing my boat, yes, but I definitely didn't dive down that one where Jonathan dived.
The second time, no. You guys the forced dive.
Yeah, I played every week, and I said watermelon every week, and then the double eviction, CJ said watermelon, and her name got picked, and she got the emerald veto. For the random draw for any comp that's not endurance. And so again, that was like, oh, my two targets both got powers, and one of them got the power that I was going for apparently all season. I'm like, thanks, Andrew, that's great. And then at that point, I didn't know what I was going to do. I said no a couple of times. I was almost going to say yes to Strawberry, and then Strawberry just kept being there. So that also was like, oh, Strawberry's there. It's Strawberry. I can feel it. And then Lindsay said lemon so fast, and I was like, I feel like Strawberry's a freaking poo. And I was just like, I was like, I know it's poo. Why am I actually playing this? I know it's the poo. And I still did it. And I was just like, oh my God. So dumb. So a good learning lesson. Like that drives me to want to play again so that I can try and like, at least if I'm not going to win, like end on a smarter note.
But it could have turned out great. It could have been non-poo.
Anything's possible. It could have been.
Don't beat yourself up too much.
Yeah. Well, and like Andrew was saying that the power was almost as good as Ryan's fast forward to jury. I don't think that's the case. Like the diamond veto, you get to name your own replacement if you win veto, which is like that's a good power for sure. But not that. Like it's not worth risking the poo for in hindsight.
Not at the stage of the game that you were in.
No, and especially in my position, it just like and that's the thing with this veto. Like I was technically last to answer in 4 of the 5 rounds, but everybody got the answer wrong.
How did everybody do so poorly in OTAV? Like,
the reason it was bad this year was because he changed the rules, and all the answers were in the main chat. You guys had it in the private chat, so people probably took more time. So like he would ask the question in our group chat. And then we would put the answer, but then everyone would just copy the first person because if the first person's right.
Ours was group 2. That's why I was wondering why when there was one round where everyone copies the right person. I'm like, why doesn't the last person just take a second and see if that's the right damn answer?
If they're already going to be last.
Yeah, because they're already going to be last anyway. There was a couple rounds like that, and I was like, what is happening right now?
Well, because at that point, it didn't matter whether you're right or wrong, you're last. So you're either out or you're safe.
But if everyone was wrong, then it does matter because, there was like one round where everyone got it wrong, and if the last person just actually looked at the what. Anyway, I have my thoughts on
the real show, I don't think Canada does it. So in the U.S. Big Brother, it's always played like with 6 players, obviously, and basically you would be able to run down and come back with the correct answer.
So you could change your answers, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and so it's more like you come back and usually you present it like my answer is blah blah blah, answer is blah blah blah, answer is blah blah blah. Oh no, that's wrong. You can go down, run back, fight to get the right answer, and come back musical chair style. So it's just a little bit different, obviously because of the platform, but generally speaking, it's a run and come back with the correct answer.
So I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I don't have to pull in Ryan. Sorry, I don't know if I love Ryan. He's a nice guy, but I don't know. We were aware of that. I don't know. I don't recall that being part of his rules. I remember him saying the first one to answer wrong is out, or the last person to answer right is out. So there was no like coming back and changing your answer.
That if the last person was correct, they would win, and then the first to answer wrong would be out. Correct? Is that?
That's right.
That's what I would think.
Yeah. So if you all, because like if you all said sales and it wasn't sales, and the last person said accounting and it was accounting, then the first person to say sales would be out.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the last person to would win or whatever. But I mean, like it was very confusing how that went down. I was like, what is going on? But
yeah, it was weird. But everyone was trying. But it didn't make sense. Like the first question.
Were so easy too. Like, I mean, Aunt gave them to me, and then I did them. I messed up for sure. But I'm like, I was just doing it for my own memory, and
Well, the one about which one is all one gender, I thought that was super easy.
The other one I got wrong, so I didn't notice he said single week. So I just did Megan and Lindsay because that was the first thing that popped to my head.
Oh yeah.
But like when it came down to you and Kat. In the final 2.
That was the biggest mess up. I don't understand. I think she
the easiest question because literally they have not won anything.
Yeah.
And like why I wouldn't even have to look, and I'm not in the house at all. I knew that right off the bat. So I mean, like why she would answer with that? I was like, is she giving it to him? I don't understand what's happening.
Well, I knew it was customer service or warehouse, so I had to quickly look at my spreadsheet of all my stuff, and like try to count, but then she already said sales. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to say customer service because I think it's customer service. It looks like they have, because Lindsay has a bunch and Nick has a couple, but sales literally hadn't won a competition all season. Yeah. So I think she just confused it maybe. I have no idea. I didn't really get into it with her about how I didn't want to rub it in or something, and it didn't matter anyways.
So she wasn't throwing it. That was just like,
no, there's no way. Yeah, there's no way she said that. Yeah.
Speaking of spreadsheets.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Who is prepared for Endgame?
Like in terms of their notes and everything that they've taken kind of thing? I don't know because, so like the spreadsheet for the cocktail survey, that wasn't Ryan's spreadsheet like Andrew was saying in today's video. There was 2 spreadsheets going around, and like a lot of that stuff was traded around like week 1, like before people started like not trusting everyone. A lot of spreadsheets were traded around week 1 and then going into week 2 when we knew that was the comp. So I had collected quite a few, like Final 5, we all kind of worked together and collected what we could. MNBC collected what we could, and then also I compared notes. And so I had actually made the spreadsheet and sent it to Final 5. But it was our spreadsheet. I just happened to type it out. But we all like got different spreadsheets or lists from people. And then
you should have made a mistake on one of them.
Well, so before I knew he was doing his own, Nick had already started, but he was doing it by hand, and I felt bad. I was like, oh, dude, you don't have to do that. But he had already done it, so I was like, okay, well, I also didn't really want too many people to know that I was maybe taking the game too seriously with like spreadsheets and notes and all that stuff early on. And like I have, I had Excel, my Excel, Google Excel or whatever has like 30 tabs for like every comp and like just crazy information that is not needed. But
with how things were going for these last 2 competitions, which were the 2, I'd say, easiest out of like what you need to know endgame comps, like I think they have a little bit of work to do with what they need to know because
a lot of bit of work to do.
Yeah, a lot of bit of work to do.
I think that's where I say if it, and I could have sworn your guys was private, but it must have been the season before. But if you make it private, then people will be forced to take an extra minute at least to like try and get the right answer. I think when it's in the main chat, like, because if everyone says sales, only the first person's at risk. Because if they're right, then whoever's last, doesn't matter if they're right or wrong, they're gone.
We all actually just looked and like knew the answer, and I think pretty much everybody answered on their own unless they didn't know.
Yeah, I was last 4 of the 5 rounds. I was trying to look, but by the time I came back to the screen, everybody was answering. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just copy what everyone else is saying. Yeah. And luckily, Brazil was wrong. Then Nick was wrong. Then Marcin was last and wrong, but he was last, so it didn't matter. And then Kat did the sales thing. But I remember when we were collecting the spreadsheet info in like week 2, Brandon had sent me one privately, and he had sent the same one to Marcin and Nick. They shared it with MNBC. But then when I was comparing with Final 5, they had a different one from Brandon. And I trusted that one more because he was in accounting with Ryan, Kat, and Brazil, and it was still early. They hadn't had their whole Ryan, Brandon, whatever. And maybe both were fake. But I didn't share that with MNBC. So when I actually followed along with today's HOH, my numbers compared to Nick's in the final round actually would have won based on how it ended up going. So I was like, stupid poo, idiot, Veto, dumbass.
But like honestly though, because you got to choose the poo after I didn't give you the head of household, correct?
Yeah, so you chose Lindsay, and then that day or the next, I think it was the same day, she said I was going up as a pawn. I was like, that's not, I know I'm not a pawn. Even up against Kat, I know, I have a good feeling I'm not the pawn. Like, they'll pretend I'm not the pawn, or they'll pretend I'm the pawn as long as they can. But it just didn't feel comfortable. And then I just got in my own head, and within a few minutes, I was like, screw it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, 10-4, and it was over. So. Yeah, but I mean,
yourself up. I'm beating you up. Like,
but I would think Nick. I would think Nick and Lindsay probably are the most prepared. I don't know. I mean, like Kat is really smart. They're all like everyone but CJ really, and maybe Marcin. I think CJ and Marcin are probably the least prepared for those kinds of comps. But Marcin is also working with Lindsay and Nick, so they very well may be helping him through the comps. Like there was, I don't know what's legal or not in this game in terms of help, but like almost every competition was like teamwork for the most part. Like there was very few comps. Honestly, today's comp for the next HOH was one of the few that was everyone seemed legitimately on their own, like trying to actually win. Because now, people have alliances, but it's every person for themselves at this point, to some degree.
It's win and stay off the block season. That's right now. That's basically the mode to get to the end. Final four.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any more questions? Do you have anything else to say? I'm sad.
I have a comment and then a question.
Go for it.
Curtis, you have really nice teeth.
Thank you.
And what's going on behind you with that print is what I want to know.
Oh, it says Teacher Curtis.
Oh, but the hanging on the door.
Oh, that's Tigger. That's a onesie. It's Tigger and Eeyore. Eeyore is the blue one.
Nice.
Tigger is
and why aren't you wearing that right now? Sorry.
Right.
Please change.
I'm not teaching class right now. So. Yeah, no, I should have. That would have been a good idea. Another good idea I missed out on. But yeah, no, it was fun. Andrew does a great job with it, and it would be nice to at least be invited to All Stars. I don't know right now if I would play it or not. I would like to. I think it'd be fun, but it was a big commitment.
I don't know if you saw our subliminal messages, but
yeah, I did. Yeah, I was trying not to bring attention to it. I don't want people knowing. Well, that was the thing too. I was like, well, even if I do, like, anyone who's invited there's a good chance they've been watching, so like they have an edge in terms of like knowing how people play their game and stuff. I was like, well, in terms of my game, I overall liked it. I think how I tried to play is better suited to like the real Big Brother, like in terms of playing multiple alliances, working together. When you have what I didn't factor into my plans, and I should have, like it was obvious from day one, was having evicted house guests come on this show and basically tell whatever information they want. Because as soon as Ryan had his interview, it was essentially like a ticking time bomb for me at that point. And I could have handled it differently. I could have told them before. But it was like,
well, that would have been part of jury management at that point. I mean, you're not super familiar with the game, but like knowing that the people that you're voting out at this point definitely will be talking to people in the jury about like your game and like where any holes are in the story or whatnot. So regardless of whether we were here or not, like they would be informing like at least the other house guests that are joining them in the jury.
And maybe he would have. He didn't during the actual game part of the game, and maybe because he knew he had the interview. If he didn't have the interview, maybe he would have, because we had like a gentleman's agreement at the beginning of that week against each other, like not dragging each other's name through the mud and stuff. And like I barely said anything, but I talked maybe a little bit about him and Kat having a duo and stuff like that. But Nick pretty much did all the legwork on that with Lindsay. And like I could have told Nick and Marcin about that, but it was like as the weeks went on, it was just like, oh, I've waited too long at this point, and like now it seems harder and harder. And at that point, like I had a feeling I pretty much knew Ryan was going to say stuff, and like fair enough, you didn't have to not say anything, but I took the approach of like I'm just gonna like let them ask me whatever questions. I'll be totally honest, and I was very honest with them about why I did things the way I did and why they knew certain things, and like I tried to stress that like, yeah, I might have withheld some information for sure, but like if you look at my actual actions in the game, everything I did was to make sure that we all made it as far as possible. And like they bought that to some degree, obviously not enough, but they didn't like that. I think they were at first just shocked and hurt because they felt like they were the inner circle, but that made them not feel like the inner circle at the time. But at least that's part of what they said. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of what they told me the last couple of days was just excuses. But it is Big Brother, so there is a human element to it that people can't totally ignore. I still think it was 90% a game move why I'm out. But there's a little bit of personal wrapped up in there, and not that they don't not like me or anything, but I think they lost some trust, and like Nick is claiming to be like trust is his like number one thing and loyalty to the end kind of thing, and I mostly believe it. I mean, him and Lindsay are close, but like he was giving us lots of information about Lindsay throughout the game, and like she wasn't included in our like final four for a lot of the games. So I mean, that could have just been him playing us, and kudos to him. But then like his loyalty argument with me doesn't really fully work either. So yeah, they're all playing a good game. Even CJ, for her version of this game, she's doing a great job. Like she's playing her role really well. So kudos to her on that. And
she's making it to final
I mean,
four,
she
probably.
could have been out week 3. So like the fact that she's here in week 10 is like very impressive. So.
Final 2.
Well, no, for me, I would be gunning for CJ right now because like she is going to become the secret assassin, taking out all the good players out.
Yeah, no, and that's what I wanted to do. I tried, and maybe I was playing the loyalty thing too hard because I was like paranoid about, you know, how the Ryan stuff went. So I just tried to be consistent, say I want, because we had our new alliance of 5, let's get Cat and then let's get CJ, and that's like just duke it out, whatever happens happens. I even told them Monopoly was coming up, like based on looking at like last season or whatever, just checking what's the next comp. Like I'll win I'll nominate, if I'm HOH, I'll nominate Cat or CJ and whoever, and then win veto, keep it the same, we take out CJ, and then whatever, it's all done. I was trying to get them to worry about Cat winning and then getting all my pieces. And then taking over the game, and then, or even Brazil winning and the department twist still being active, and now one of them's definitely gone, but they just weren't having any of it. So
Boo.
Yeah, gave it my all though. It was fun.
I don't know if your interview is longer than Ryan's, but
oh yeah, I talked too much.
For the last time, do you have anything else you want to share with the people?
No, I'm sure I could talk for hours, so I'll let you guys do your analysis. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. I'm sorry that it didn't go the way that I was hoping that it would go.
Yeah, it's all good. You have to do what you have to do. And I have to be a dumb person, so. Only one big major mistake, and then a few little mistakes, but
come back for All Stars and redeem yourself.
Yeah, no. Hopefully I get the invite, and hopefully I'll see you guys there. It'll be fun.
Okie dokes.
Yeah,
well,
thanks, guys.
Your day.
Thanks, you too. Take it easy. See you guys. Bye.
Boo! I mean, I knew that it was important for Curtis to have that head of household. I didn't want to just give it to him. I did think that Lindsay was going to do the most interesting thing, but I didn't think that he would shoot himself in the foot and go and dive down and risk everything for a maybe gain of something. Like, it's just so late in the game.
Yeah. But I mean, I know from firsthand experience that that paranoia can really get to you, and you just make rash decisions on a whim kind of thing, and you're like, ugh, and then realize afterwards that maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yep.
Well, taking it back to day 59, this is where we found out the beginning of his demise. So, you know, Lindsay's a new head of household because I appointed it to her. I feel guilty now.
Don't. It's the game. It's okay.
My team. It was the last man standing on my team.
But then you would have heard from Julian, like, she only gave it to Curtis because I think enough people gave you great reasons for you to choose them. So be proud of the person you picked.
I am. I think she did something that was super interesting. I really just didn't. I wanted to see him on the block, chit-chatting, getting himself off the block, if that was how things went. But he did. He did get himself off the block. He won the veto.
For 3 minutes,
the poo veto, he would have most likely won the veto next round because he has the most Monopoly pieces. Like, he would have got to Final Four. Yeah. He would have.
You also just don't know what position he was in and how. Like, I didn't know how vulnerable he potentially was.
I would have totally voted Curtis out at this moment, 100%.
If he's up on the block,
yeah, I would have voted Curtis out 1,000%.
It depends on who I am in that game, but I mean, if I was, it depends on who you are. I mean, if I was like Nick or Marcin, probably. If I was Lindsay, maybe. But if I was like Kat, no. If I was CJ, I wouldn't, definitely. But I mean, it depends on where you are in the game.
I think the boys might have made a mistake only because Kat has been so vocal about wanting to take them out, unless that's all bullshit. Could very well be.
But I mean, he could have maybe struck up a deal.
Yeah.
Even
if he took Cat off and kept Marson up with him, that would have been like, oh shit, maybe he could have convinced the girls, take Marson out. The four of us can be the final four. Yeah. Right now, this is the move to make.
Well, like he could have done some other fancy footwork. Like definitely, I mean, he was playing loyalty with Marson.
I think he was playing safe, but also like getting aggressive at the same time. There was a battle there where he wanted to play safe.
A weird mix.
Was also willing.
Like, what if he had used the poo to take off Cat?
Yes.
And like see what have happened that way,
I mean, unless he just really wanted Cat to go and he thought that he had a better chance of going against Cat. I thought, like, looking at the game, makes sense.
I think that's what he thought. I think that's what he thought, but what he needed to realize was just that. It's like, if you're going to play it this week, then you need to save Cat. You have her as a vote, and then hopefully Lindsay gets in her head that, you know what, maybe I want to go after a big target, actually. Like, this is my opportunity. So, and you could have swayed it a little bit. Yeah.
But anyways, I wanted him to have, like, even now that he has the poo, like, just maybe have taken that extra week to reassess things. Like, you have, like, now you have a target. Like, yes, you were already a target before. Yes, it's getting to the point where there's not that many people to put up on the block. There's not that many people voting. There's not, like, there's a lot less wiggle room. And so you are going to be a target for sure because you have this poo veto. Like, how do you guarantee that you're not going to be going home? Is that, like, you need to have more time to work on other people, I think.
Yeah.
I think he needed more time. Or he shouldn't have just done that. Anyways, so the sales staff is done. So that whole thing is out. So Lindsay's boyfriend, though, here is kind of annoyed that she won the head of household. Apparently, Lindsay dictates her boyfriend to do a lot of things around the house really quickly.
Yep. A little cleaning here and there.
I do want to see what her boyfriend looks like, or I want him to maybe come on or something.
He's in the Zoom challenge.
Is he?
Yeah.
I don't remember him, but no, he's sitting next to her. He's sitting next to her. Yeah.
In Wheel of Fortune?
He's cute.
I have to go back and look because I didn't really pay attention. So this is where it all went downhill. So prank or no prank. Lindsay has the prank protection anyways. So Lindsay picks yellow and Curtis chose strawberry to play. And with that, Lindsay, not even needing her prank protection, she actually legitimately won the Diamond Power of Veto. And with that, forcing Curtis, who is the only other person that played prank or no prank, to have the damn shitty veto.
That shit veto.
Fucking shitty veto. It's such shit. Such a shitty veto. And so
it's so funny. I have to say, I think it's so funny when we're speaking seriously and we're just talking about poo. Like, that's the thing.
If I didn't win the poo, I mean.
It cracks me up.
I saw you giggle about that before.
Always made me laugh.
I know.
I also think it's like a prestigious thing to experience, like, I think it's like Curtis, Jonathan, Nicole, whoever that other dude was, forget his name.
Legacy stuff.
Yeah, it's just like it's a cool like game.
We're gonna come back on All Stars and make the Poo Alliance.
Yeah, and it's just gonna be a little shit emoji.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty much what happened on day 59. Day 60 comes around, and he starts talking about. Did you guys notice or see this about Boogie and Will and the whole restraining order?
Oh, fuck! So awkward.
It was so like I saw the restraining order, and I was like, Boogie's lost his marbles. Like I guess he's just so desperate to like have another shot at the spotlight, but like
wrong way to go about it.
Did you see it, Jonathan?
I mean, I heard it first from Andrew, and then a couple people messaged me about it and stuff. So
he went off.
You have other friends that like Big Brother other than us?
Oh yeah,
Tell
like
us.
hardcore people, but they won't do Cheesecake or any online stuff because they're not the types. But oh yeah, lots. But I never liked Dr. Will and Mike. I've never liked them. I love Will. Rooted against them. So
I've said it many times here that Will was the reason why I started like watching Big Brother.
Yeah, and back in his original season, I think he did a phenomenal job. Absolutely,
still really good
and
golf
deserved
star,
it.
but he didn't care to win.
Yeah, exactly. But because of that, and I think because he had everyone like wrapped around his finger, I was always I'm more rooting for the underdog, and so and then Mike, I don't know.
Yuck.
I would have voted
for Erica.
But I was a fan of Will. But like the fact that Will didn't want to play Amazing Race and then he forges a signature and then threaten his family.
I want to know what's the threat. Do we know what the threat was?
I just saw I think I don't know if it was on Reddit or if it was on like entertainment news, but I just saw that like there was a restraining order with him, his wife, and his kids.
I want to know if it's an indirect, direct, if it's like what's going on. I mean, it's probably not too difficult to get a restraining order if you show, even a little bit of aggression towards someone. But it's, I mean, they were friends, right? Like legitimate friends for years. So I can only imagine how desperate he must be.
He also he got really gross today online too on a podcast.
Really?
Something else happened.
Say it!
Oh, he just called Bailey and Swaggy.
No.
Well, no, he just didn't refer to them as their names and referred to them as African Americans.
What?
He said, yeah, he's just saying something really fucking gross right here.
Yeah. Read it.
Okay, Boogie's take on, it's...
Well, not all of it. Some of it.
What the two African Americans are trying to be. That's a direct quote from him. I'm not sure what it was referring to. But then June felt the need to comment and say, interesting. Good for June. Let's see what he said. He was talking about Tyler, Angela.
Oh, so this must be talking about the people that have been asked to come back to maybe
2020. Yeah. Yeah.
But okay, so it's funny though that Dr. Will did not want to do The Amazing Race because I watched The Shaws of Sunset and Dr. Will made a cameo at whatever his
practice
is. I don't even know what he does because someone wanted to get a tattoo removed of the husband that she had, and so she had his name on her side, and she came to Dr. Will's practice and they had a consultation. So he still does a little bit of
attention.
Yeah.
No, well, reality TV.
And his wife also is a reality television winner.
I watched that.
I watched it to Aaron. She won $2 million.
On what? What is this? I don't even know what he's married to.
It was a
dating money.
Yeah, it was a dating show. And if she decided not...
I've watched all those shows. So
for Love or Money, Aaron.
Yeah, she was the very first winner.
Oh,
Aaron, she's gorgeous.
Brown hair?
Long brown hair.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
Okay.
I mean,
wow.
She's a $2 million... I think she was, for a while, she had won the most money on a reality show. That was her world record. And then Sandra came up and snatched it from her.
Well, yeah.
Maybe.
And now, friggin' Tony.
Okay.
Womp. Okay, so what else happened?
Everything.
What are we on 60? There was the luxury competition rules.
Yes. I mean, I thought it was cute. You didn't like it?
I'm worried about Kat and her shoulder. I was worried about her driving too fast. I thought someone was going to get pulled over for speeding.
I didn't think that she had a shot.
I like the map.
Yeah, I thought it was fun, but at the same time, I remember last year me talking to Andrew being like, can I come over and then just surprise beyond, and he really warned me against it. He's like, oh, people are going to think there's favoritism. People are going to so I was like, oh yeah, that's true. So the fact that he's sharing more this year, I'm good friends with Lindsay and me and Kat are going to have our own competition. And I was like, oh, things have changed. Times have changed. And I thought that was, she's in the position she's in anyway, so maybe she feels like she has nothing to lose. But I just thought it was interesting. But I liked it.
What do you think about the poo stipulation that Lindsay kind of sussed out?
What are you talking about?
Well, the fact that okay, so basically, it's like Lindsay saw a flaw that if you don't use, like, if you're put up on the block and you don't use the poo, then basically, like, you can just get out who you want to get out, and then they have to use the poo next week. And so, I guess something like that.
Yeah, well, Lindsay was asking, and I mean, we didn't assume, we were told that you cannot. Like, we had to decide beforehand, and you could not. I mean, the rules just completely
they weren't nominated if they had the poo. Exactly.
You had to decide if you were like going to use it and all this other stuff, and we just kind of like I mean, no one. Jojo was HOH.
I was HOH. I wasn't going to nominate you anyway.
So I don't think that came into play in our season. But as far as like using the veto and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I just felt like a lot of our season we had to.
You weren't allowed to play in the veto.
Put in your intentions, beforehand. So, I mean, it's a good question, and Andrew can change however he wants to change things.
I mean, I think it was fair the way that it worked out, that if you win the veto, you can put yourself back up. Like, so that whole, the renom happens and then take off happens. So, like, I think that it was a fair redirect. But it could have also just worked out equally as effectively if they have the poo veto, they're not eligible to be nominated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they would have worked out pretty much the same. And I think then maybe Curtis wouldn't have. I don't think he would have used the poo veto if he wasn't on. I don't know what he would
have done. Andrew says on this day that I should have put myself up against Julian instead of Lynn.
We talked about that. And so again, Andrew wanted to save Jonathan.
Rewind. I wanted to save Julian. Yes. And I had that whole plan with Jojo, and if it was to work out, then I would have been safe. And if it didn't work out, then I would have been screwed anyway. And I said to everyone at work and stuff, I'm like, I either go home this week trying this whole thing, which will change things, or I go home next week, as far as I'm concerned. So it's one of the
RBC knew about this.
Oh yeah, everyone knew.
All right, RCC.
RDC, but it was more of Casting Central. So all the cam ops and readers and they could every day they got updates.
Did Krista know about it?
Krista knows everything about this. Lindsay's a big Brother.
I don't know Lindsay, but Krista I know from Vancouver.
Survivor person, yeah.
I know from Vancouver. We used to take Andrew McElroy's class together in Vancouver.
Oh, Krista, I'm good friends with. She lives just up the road.
I've seen her in some dance classes that I've taken.
Yeah, she does it every week.
Yes, so she likes the same teachers that I like, so I've seen her a few times.
Nice. Yeah, she knew all about this. They all did. They were forced to. I wouldn't shut the hell up about it.
Oh my God, I need to message her and be like, oh my God, I didn't know that you were, like, he was complaining about it, but he's complaining about me.
Yeah.
Hilarious. That's so funny. Love doing comp, blah, blah, blah. So Lindsay ends up nominating Cat and Curtis during this one. I wasn't really surprised about her nominations. But I wish that actually maybe that Curtis wasn't put up there, because I don't know if I prefer that he had to use the veto on himself to take himself off. I wish it was just like a choice that he had to put himself up there. Maybe. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of liked how it worked out. It kind of forced Lindsay's hand to show like who out of the remaining folks, who she would be willing to put up for a minute. Maybe that could have been a good move for someone to say, like, just choose me so it doesn't look like we're too close. Forcing to put Marson up, like, that kind of shows where her mentality is with Brazil, with CJ, and with Nick. So I liked it.
Well, you couldn't put up CJ or Nick.
Oh, shit, right. The fucking department twist is still happening.
Yes, and Andrew, love the game so far. I'm enjoying it immensely, but I think
the
department twist should have stopped at jury.
Yep.
It's too powerful to have that many people safe.
Yeah, they generally do stop a lot of those things, in the first like 6 weeks of the show, like the, televised show. Any kind of twists or, like the twin twists or whatever it may be, they stop it well ahead of time, because when it dwindles down like this, like if you had literally, can you imagine if you were forced to put someone up because you had your complete department in there, and it was like only if final 6, and let's say you had all 4 people in your department and you win HOH, then you're forced to put the other 2 up, and it's kind of like, it's not
lazy.
Great. Yeah.
Like it forces you to keep people in the game that you aren't necessarily best for your game.
Yeah, it definitely should have stopped.
In the beginning, it was obviously very effective, and it's quite useful for gameplay with like, well, I have these numbers, or like we working together, or you can super strategize, blah blah blah, or you get safe. You have more opportunities to be safe. But like at the final 9, like let's just get rid of that, please.
Exactly.
So when is it over?
Never. Final 2. No.
Never.
I don't know.
I don't think it is. He hasn't said it.
It ends sometime. It ends.
It's gonna end when there's only customer service left, and it's it's gonna end when he deems it's stupid because they're all within the same, like, it's like when there's like.
No, this must be the last week for it. It has to be.
We don't know for sure though.
It has to be.
I hope it is.
I've asked him, you know what I mean? I'll see if I have a chance. I'll see if I can look it up. I know I've asked him somewhere before. I must have.
Is he online now? Let me see. Keep going.
Meta chats with Andrew.
A few minutes ago.
Talk to you.
2.
Okay, so the veto picks are Marcin, Curtis, and CJ. So Curtis is going to have to pick somebody. So I guess he picked Brazil. And then it's basically day 61 after that. So the Mario Kart Big Brother takes place for the luxury competition. And Andrew told me, like, I'm like, when is this happening? And he's like, right about now. And I was kind of waiting for a notification to pop up so I can like join and watch or like participate in some way. But I didn't see the participation thing.
I would have watched it. I didn't know.
And then I totally went and made something to eat. And I was like, oh yeah, like I wonder if that's done now. But like I wanted to watch it. But I didn't actually see how to immediately. And so when I asked him that, if he had given me maybe a link, or I just was expecting him to have something pop up as to like, watch us now. And so nothing that I noticed happened in like the main chat. Maybe he only posted something in their chat, and so I wouldn't get a notification. But he kind of said that he thought that I would watch, and I would have watched, but I didn't really see how.
I didn't know there was an option. I missed that part.
Me too.
But that was on Sunday. That was day 62,
61,
right?
Yeah, we bumped. While you guys were looking, I just said day 61 now.
61. What did I want to talk about? 61. Oh, Lindsay went camping.
Right.
Yeah.
And so she asked Nick to play. Do you think that that's fair?
Yeah, but at the same time, and this is gonna. I mean, no one's gonna agree with me on this.
I might.
But I just don't. I wouldn't plan, like, you guys sacrifice so much, your work and all that kind of stuff, to play in this game. I'm not telling her not to go camping. I'm just saying drive to the nearest city or so. Like, do what you have to do to participate.
Yeah, find some Wi-Fi.
Or find a way to make it work rather than just give it away.
Yep.
But if you have to give it away and you are giving it away, that was the rules with ours. Like, you can pick who you want to, and I think that's fair.
Especially as head of household, like, she had nothing to worry about. It's not like her butt was on the line. Unless she really wanted to make sure one person wasn't going to win it. So
yeah, but it's also a way of like, I could have said, oh, hey guys, I'm going camping, when I know that this person's who's not playing is gonna be excellent at this game, perhaps.
Yep.
And then I can use it as a tool to like make this person play. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it was maybe at a different point in the game, maybe I'd been like a little bit more like, But I mean, Nick was the only person that wasn't playing, and he wanted to play. So, I mean, I think that, yes, like for me, I would have probably done my best to figure out a way to play if I was going camping or whatnot. Like
taking an hour break.
I'd do my best, even though I failed many times while I was in
Mexico.
But
where are you going that you don't have cell service?
I don't know.
I think there's some cottages that don't have like great.
I mean, even in Muskoka, there is a certain little area that doesn't have a Wi-Fi, like a line. So yeah.
Cellular networks. I don't know. He mentioned your hair on this day, and I told you, Jojo. He said your hair is hot, and you weren't picking at it until much later on. And I told you, I don't know if it was on camera or off camera, but that your hair looked really, really good.
Thank you.
Agreed. I made a note of that as well with the hair. Jojo, what are you doing differently? What is your styling techniques?
At the moment, it's just all natural. So it's very bedhead. I just slicked it back that day. I wanted a fresh change of pace.
And then we did temptation to be like this.
Well, that's a problem. I'm always I constantly do like little mini braids in my hair. That's another thing. Like finally section it.
Andrew showed off his crystal method hair. Don't do that, Andrew.
I did like his little side. I didn't think it looked that bad.
I mean,
it was fine.
Okay.
Maybe if there was some more volume to it, for sure.
So he talks about like how Kat was super pissed with the nominations, and like I know what it feels like. From other experiences that I had to be nominated, like yes, you can be pissed off, but Lindsay was right. I found, and be like, does this tactic ever really work? And it doesn't really. Like I know people can be like, well, you want to keep her because she's like more volatile and take her to the final two because like chances are nobody's gonna vote for her. But like people also like playing the game with people that they enjoy being around, and so I just don't understand why Kat is not being just more likable even in these times of adversity. Like she's on the block now. Yeah. Like why would
how does it further you? Like if you're shooting a film or something, it's like you don't put a scene in there just to put it in there. You put it in there to further the plot, right? And so it's like I wondered when I heard that I'm like, how does that benefit her in any way? Like is it a reactionary thing? Because again, you're not in person, you're online, so you can just walk away from things. Or were you trying to do something? Or are they working together on something? I don't know.
I think there's obviously, we don't know for sure, but there could be many things happening behind the scenes. That could have been a stage fight. That could have been Kat just being honest and saying, you know what, my feelings got hurt. I felt like you reached out to me and had a human moment and then literally nominated me. But at the same time, it's also showing that Kat's mad at Lindsay. So that's Marcin, CJ, Brazil, Nick, that Kat's not necessarily mad at. So if Kat does win some sort of HOH or veto, maybe
Lindsay would be the target.
Maybe it's possible. We don't know. There's also so many people. There's only 6 people left. Like anything can happen. Shoot your shot when you get one.
There's a lot of talk about pineapple soda and its effects. You guys agree, disagree? Do you love pineapple soda?
I've never had it. I don't like pineapple. I don't care what it makes something taste like. Disgusting. No, I don't like pineapples, guys.
Who doesn't like pineapple? It's pretty much the best tasting fruit.
No.
I like it.
I love pineapple.
Fruit-wise, I'm like kiwi, blueberries, strawberries, grapes. Those are what I enjoy, even though I can't eat some of them. But pineapple, I mean, it's acidic. I can't eat it, but it's never been like a taste for me.
So no pineapple on pizza.
Hell no! Throw that Hawaiian away.
Oh, it's Canadian. I love pineapple on pizza.
No, you shouldn't eat pigs anyway. But no.
Pineapple and mango are my favorites.
Oh, mango's delicious. Yeah.
Kiwi, womp womp. I like watermelon.
Watermelon.
Blueberries, frozen, delish. Grapes, delish. You don't like watermelon?
No, I love watermelon.
Me too.
I don't know why I didn't say that first, because I literally, I just ordered it because I have my groceries delivered to me, and when I go in stores, I eat it, and I'm not supposed to eat it, and it does not sit well with me, but I eat it anyway because I don't.
Rebel.
Yeah, right. Can I just say that Andrew on this day also said that he's wondering if we're playing an act about being stupid about the Ruby video. It's not an act, Andrew. I'm that stupid. Having said that, Ruby veto. If golden veto is used by anyone, the Ruby holder can take the other person off. I get it now. Ding. But my stupidity is real. So.
Well, I think it's because while we're trying to conceptualize it, we're also thinking about how we can use it to play it. And so we're putting it into circumstances. And then once we get into like weird circumstances, we're like, wait, would it work that way? And so I think us picturing how to use it caused confusion in its like basicness because we don't understand how to use it.
Yeah.
That's why.
Essentially.
We're just trying to use it to its best. We want to know how to use it so well that it's the most effective. And that's why we get confused. Because we're overthinking it.
I agree.
Okay. Andrew, we want to be able to use it effectively. Okay?
And hey, guys, how do you feel about all three of us could have been the 9th jury vote? He talked about that.
I know. Was that today?
Yeah. He talked about on the.
I wrote it someday. I don't know which day I wrote it, but
day 61, we could have been a jury vote. All three of us as one as the 9th vote, and Brandon and Megan would have been back on the jury too.
Oh, I wrote that. Yes, we could have had a vote.
Let's convince Brenda to quit.
Or like, maybe something will happen. Maybe we deserve a vote.
Yeah.
How good would that have been?
Oh, that would have been fun.
Yeah, can we give like a fan?
Do like the final breakdown of their games? Like that.
Can we pick a Miss Congeniality kind of a situation?
Fan favorite.
Yeah. We can do whatever we want.
Our fave. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
We can do whatever we like.
Okay, let's do a fan favorite, and the fan favorite's gonna win a prize. I'll put it up. A small, very small prize, but a prize.
Brampton bus pass. I'm just kidding.
Very.
I'm trying to find something we can gift them.
Yeah, we'll have a fan favorite by the end of the season, which will be revealed. We'll give it to Andrew.
It's gonna be Megan. Hey, Megan.
A prize.
Megan's already winning.
Yeah, I will give a monetary prize. I will send it. I'm saying it right now. I will give it to you, and I will send it off directly to you. I'll e-transfer it to you.
Ooh.
Unless you're in America.
Venmo in Canada or Cash App. It's just much slicker than like, I'm gonna email money transfer you. Like I want to Venmo me, Cash App me.
I'll Venmo you. I can't, but yeah. Look for that. It's coming. Fan favorite. End of the season.
So is it only people that have made it to jury, or is it everybody that's played the game so far?
Megan's gonna win.
I think everybody.
Everybody's in.
Everybody. So, yeah. We have to come up with our criteria of like, and then all three of us need to vote, and majority wins, I guess.
Well, we can do some nominations.
We're just making a whole.
I'm nominating Lisa.
Side game. So maybe each of us have to have a different like person that we're nominating for the Miss Congeniality.
Or hold on, or should we each nominate and then do like do they have polls on Facebook? I don't use Facebook. And then we can do like a poll somewhere, and then the contestants have to vote, and then whoever, it's voted by the contestants within the house who the fan favorite is. It's kind of like they're deciding who the Miss Congeniality is, but
we're offering up the
and we
pretty much, if we just chose Megan's probably going to get that, right?
Exactly. So we maybe
congratulations, Megan.
Yeah. So we maybe each pick someone and then have the house guests vote on it. How do you feel about that?
Or 2 people, just to make it a little more folks. No.
What do you mean? No, 3 people. Like
better.
3 people.
3 is better than 6.
Each of us giving one person.
So there's 3. So you pick one, I pick one, Chantele picks one,
Lisa.
and then the house guests vote on out of those 3 who their favorite is, and they will win some sort of prize given by it.
And we could put it into like the actual big chat, and so maybe past winners or like players could also vote. So it would make it, if they've been paying attention to this particular game, which like 60 people have been or so.
Yeah. Alumni and current house guests, perhaps. Then maybe
Andrew, everybody, anybody that's been watching that wants to put in a vote can vote. I love it. I'm in.
It's done.
You heard that, Andrew. Added element. What's going to happen next season if we're all playing?
He's not going to invite any of us because none of this will happen.
No.
Right. And so he gives the rules to OTEV. So OTEV obviously is a classic Big Brother game. We kind of talked about it briefly with Curtis. And so, what did I say? Looking for a what? Oh, department. Looking for a department. So basically, that makes it really easy.
Yeah, 1 out of 4.
Yeah, like you could pretty much guess it, I would say, and like do not too terribly, but it's gonna be a live comp, so we'll see what happens. And I turn the page.
Also on that day, he talked briefly about the silent auction and just clarified that the amount was anonymous. The winner of the letter was not. So that was good to clarify from last week when we talked about that.
That's true. I clarified it in my mind, being like, oh, right. Mm-hmm. But I didn't write it down. Thanks, Jonathan. Yes, and so Lindsay did tell me that that she was like, no, we didn't know the numbers. She did mention that to me. Sorry, I didn't share it. I forgot. Day 64. So the 62. Big Brother cocktail service, the third one. And so
are we on day 62?
Is there a 63? Oh, just kidding. 63 was
because day 62 was the OTEV results, which we haven't.
Yes, and he has the slick over hair. Mm-hmm. New do. What do you think of the new do, Jojo?
Cute.
Cute.
Just a little I just need a little volume.
I wrote on that message to Andrew, don't ever do that hair again. It looked like he was doing this like emo kind of. No, that was unnecessary. It was a like a costume choice.
He tried something different.
And Housekiss, I don't know if he's gonna use it, but day 62, he slicks his hair differently. Like, I don't know, but maybe
in your spreadsheets,
maybe it's useful.
Curtis won the OTEV, which we talked about, kind of him and capping the final 2.
And it did bother me though, because Andrew did mention that like we're gonna be pissed, and like I am kind of pissed because like these questions were pretty gosh darn easy for us that are not even in the game. Like we could do some pretty good guessing and we could figure it out. If I was taking notes, this would be like easy access notes. It's not even.
Can I just say that how I thought our season was going to be? I'm like, oh, these are people who are just going to play casually or whatever. So I mean, I'm going to like kill it. But then I got into our season and I was like, oh, these people are hardcore gamers who like want to win. Like, and then this season, it just seems I'm like, oh, I was cast in the wrong season, because if it was in season 4, I think I'd be killing it.
You would have been. You would have won everything.
I'm like, what are these people doing?
Nobody's really doing that well. Like, it's not competitively that well. Like maybe one person will do well, but everybody else is crap.
And that's why I think they're like, you know, being given to Curtis, but they're all spread out because there's just, I don't think it's everyone's so good that they're being spread out. I think it's being spread out because no one's really putting that effort into it. And I don't know, you're not going to win fan favorite is all I'm telling you. But it's interesting to see how lax some people are playing with this.
Yeah, and the fact that like on this, like everybody got questions wrong on 2 answers, like that's insane to me.
And JoJo's frozen picture looks amazing right now.
Yes, JoJo. Oh my God, we got so far. We made it so far without a JoJo.
Plug the computer in, JoJo.
That's what I said. Like, I think that because he doesn't have it plugged in, he says it does this anyways, but I think that he always does not have it plugged in. So
I also want to talk about his service provider, and we're gonna follow up on that.
We should. So do you want to go through? I don't even need to go through like what the questions were, but they were just all pretty easy. Like, which department didn't compete in the exploding beats? Like, if you were playing the game, you would know which department. Like, you would know that. Bye,
Jojo. You would know it right away. Like most of those were pretty easy. There was 2 trick questions that he had said, but I mean, just the dynamics of how it was being played out too, it would have been easy to play within that. And if anyone got less than, there was 7 questions altogether? And
only 5.
I thought it was no, because sorry, that's
all house guests.
So that was 7 is the
next
fast forwarding. But yeah. So I mean, I don't know. What are you people doing? I don't know.
Not good.
Too
not
easy.
happy. Anyway,
Welcome back, Jojo.
I wrote down, we are so upset. And then I'm like, well, I am. I hadn't asked you guys if you were upset, but I assume that you would be upset with how poorly that they did on the veto, on the OTAV.
Yep.
That's it? Yeah.
Annoying.
It's just, it is annoying because, like, these are the type of games that I like. Like, these are the ones where, like, okay, it's not chance. It's not, like, you know, holding a poll. Like, it's something that, like, everybody has equal opportunity to do really well in.
Yeah, exactly.
And I really just wish that they showed that they paid just minimal attention. Like, there was not, I don't know.
Do you think it's because the first answers were incorrect and people just wanted to like get on top?
The first answer everybody got correct because it was so easy.
But I mean, like, just whoever went first. It was
I think at least one or two people got caught up in the fact that, yeah, they were copying whoever posted because they're like, oh, then I'm safe, so I don't even have to look it up. You know, if one person posted it wrong. And I get that. But at the same time, there were definitely situations where, but then it's like, why is someone posting the wrong answer to begin with? Like, those people should be chastised with, like, the fact that they should have gotten it right. But also there should have been situations where the last person's like, oh, I'm last anyway, and everyone else said this. Maybe I could come up with the right answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just have some pride with it. I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's definitely an option where people could have been like throwing it or playing it strategically, and that might have happened. But just as a whole is what I'm talking about. I was just disappointed that it seemed just so careless. But anyway, moving on.
The final two ends up being Cat and Curtis. And then Cat just picks the most wrong possible answer.
I would have voted her out for that. Honest to God. I would have been like, what are you doing? Bye.
You know? I mean, it's just like that department didn't have any Monopoly pieces. So like when I did this a little bit with Andrew just really quickly. And like, I was like, first I put the correct answer, being customer service. Then I was like, oh, well, maybe actually I couldn't remember who won all the railroads. So I was like, oh, maybe they won the railroads. And so like I switched it to warehouse or whatever. I just did the opposite one. And so that I got it wrong. But like my initial instinct was customer service having 8 properties. And I would have been right if I just said.
And it's fine if you like, you know, switched it up and it was questionable. But the fact that she put sales is just like unforgivable. And then Andrew was saying, oh, maybe it's because she was like just a momentary whatever. But I'm like, no, you need to be on your game. That's like make it or break it. These situations sometimes, especially with what position she's currently in. You know, oh, he said that just because he thought that was going to be the final answer was just going to be sales. I'm like, that's a poor excuse for putting just something randomly in when it was so obviously not that. I don't know. What are you doing? I can't wait to ask her that question when she's here next week.
Right?
Ooh.
So day 63 comes along. Just to conclude, Curtis ends up winning the golden power of veto. So the scenario that Lindsay was questioning about does actually come to fruition here. So he has the golden power of veto, and then he also has the poo veto. This is, I guess, the results now for the luxury competition. And I would have 100% chosen Andrew to win. Because like highway to highway is always going to be faster than the low roads. Especially
now with no traffic on the highway or less traffic. And I've also driven that path many times too. Did we know I don't recall knowing how much he beat her by. Like, did he say that?
I didn't think he
I think she threw it.
She's just throwing everything.
She threw it.
Throwing everything.
Threw it to Andrew. Curtis wasn't there to throw it to, so.
Right. I want to know, Andrew. Yeah. How long did you wait before she showed up? Is what I want to know. And I would ask him, but he's not responding to. Oh no, he is responding to me. Okay. Could ask now. What was our other question that we were going to ask?
Don't remember. Something about.
Why are we so silly?
With the worst memories, guys. I put hey you reality realness has questions. Didn't write it. Yeah.
But anyways, I live on DuPont though, so I would have, or near DuPont, so I would have taken the route that Andrew suggested for this because like it's really long, and like once you go past wherever it is and it turns into a net, it's like really, really smooth sailing. Even if you took like for me taking Davenport all the way then where it hits and meets like, I think it's Rogers Road, and then take Rogers Road down to Annette, and Annette, like how he was saying, that would have been giving him a run for his money for sure. But she definitely chose a riskier route, and he's so right. Those lights down at the bottom there are like 5-minute long lights at any time of the day. Sometimes if I'm coming home from the airport and like if I'm with somebody else and we share like an Uber or something, they take that route. I'm like, fuck, we're sitting in this Uber at this light for 5 minutes at 4 a.m. Like,
perfect.
He says that he beat her by about 3 or 4 minutes.
Oh, so it's okay. So she could have then beat him if she'd taken a better route. Not bad.
What was that other question? Gosh.
Think about it while I think about what happens next. So with that, Andrew does win. Team Cat originally was obviously Cat, Brazil, and Nick, and then Team Andrew was Curtis, Marcin, Lindsay, and CJ. So Curtis ends up using this power of veto. Marcin becomes the renom, and then Curtis does the unthinkable. He uses his poo brown veto on Marcin and puts himself on the block next to Cat.
I love how he said in his interview that like he doubles down on his mistakes. It's like, you know what? It's a disaster. It's the ship's going down. Might as well take everyone else, you know, do the whole thing. So it's I feel like I'm also like that sometimes too. So it's very relatable. But yeah, it kind of was a double down on the mistake.
How great of a move would it have been though if he had stayed? Would have been a great move.
Yeah, I mean, you have to take those risks sometimes. I fully believe in that, and I appreciate that. So although, you know, it's something that you hold and you're like, but then use that to like win something else, or use it next time as like, you know, where you have this moment that you can redeem yourself with, you know, in a future game perhaps. So, yeah.
He's going to have to overcome the poo.
If he didn't go for it, it would have been a boring episode, right? Like it would have been like nothing happened. It was very typical. Yeah. Lindsay would have won what she won. So I appreciate that.
Fine.
Good week.
But no matter what though, like maybe he could have then at that point, I guess voted out Marcin. I mean, I don't know if that would have worked. But anyways, it went how it went. I'm still
used
sad about it.
Yes. And,
so next day comes along, day 64. We have a little bit about the jury house.
Yeah, he checked in with the jury house, which was nice.
So Brenda hopes that it will be Curtis next, which is ironic and funny.
The live HOH competition started.
No, I was also confused though, because like at the beginning he was talking about how Ryan had this change of heart and all this stuff, and like I was like just like kind of taking notes and not paying attention, and like I was like, what? Like I totally like head like exorcist head like flips to the front, and then he was like, no, actually he did not say that. So like so I was so shocked that Ryan would actually have a change of heart and be giving some props to other people that like I nearly snapped my neck. That wasn't fun. That was funny, I thought. So Ryan doesn't think that they'll take him out. What does that mean?
Ryan, say that again. Ryan doesn't think
that they would have. Oh, I guess that they would have taken them out. He still doesn't think that. I don't know what I wrote.
I don't know. I didn't write anything along those lines. I just wrote that he explained the live HOH competition starts, the prize of the luxury competition.
That's another little confusing one, but I think I understood it.
I think I get it too. I think I wrote it out and I get it, yeah.
Okay, Jonathan, go for it. Well, we know for sure that if Kat were the one to go home, that she would give her one light blue set to the head of household. Boom.
Yeah, but because he felt it was unfair that all of Curtis's pieces would have gone to the HOH. I mean, we talked, I think, briefly about this, but it was they would have split the Monopoly pieces, the luxury winners, as well as he would get a, well, I'm doing it backwards, but the HOH winner would get his choice of pieces or like one set of properties. and then the Curtis will give away one set of properties, and then the luxury comp winners would have split Monopoly pieces.
So who do you think that Curtis is going to gift his to?
We didn't ask him. Crap.
We did, but he said he didn't want to say on air.
Right. I think he'll give them to. I think he'll give them to Brazil.
I think he'll give them to Marcin.
I'm going to say Marcin, because I think he thinks that Nick and Lindsay are tight and that Marcin might get screwed over.
And Nick is already going to get one set.
And the only people who are not safe this upcoming weekend, we know Monopoly's happening this week, is Brazil, Marcin, and CJ and Lindsay are protected, so it's Cat. So I would think maybe Cat, but at the same time, because he played so close to Marcin, and he's too nice of a guy, Curtis, I don't think he holds any grudge of him voting him out or whatever, that I do think he'll still feel that he's a little protective over Marcin. And if not Marcin, then Cat. But yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see actually how that little twisteroo turns out. Oh yeah, he said bequeath. He bequeaths the second set. Thank you, Jeff Probst. Bequeath being part of our vocabulary, our vernacular of Big Brother and reality TV peeps.
Yeah.
Bequeath. Anything else? Oh, he gets to use the wheel. Yay! On the third set. Random.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Love a wheel. Love a good wheel. What did I write here? But now, one night stay on color set of their choice. Oh, yeah, okay. I know what I wrote.
So that is what the new, the luxury prize winner, for the first time they land on somebody's property, they do not have to pay rent.
Nice.
Yeah.
It would also, maybe it would have been nice if it was like anytime they want to use that, they have like a don't pay now kind of thing. That might have been more.
But I guess he because he doesn't film it live, because like we get the results of the game, I feel like that would make it rough to be able to choose it at any point.
I love how he just plays Monopoly by himself.
Yeah. It is
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I have a Bob's Burgers version of Monopoly.
Say it again?
And I have a Bob's Burgers version of Monopoly. And I want to play that so badly, but we're all in isolation, and I'm not going to play Monopoly by myself. But
well, do you know what? I don't know if they have that version, but they have this tabletop simulator where you can play many different games, and it's actually the board game. Hi, we're almost done. You can have him back soon.
We can't hear you. Don't worry
about
it.
Together. Go to the boat.
He's like I hate these people. They steal them away all the time.
I mean, it's like once a week now.
Oh, yeah, we did double work today. It was great.
Yes, get it all out. We're almost done though. Like this is getting long. Anything else for today?
Hold on. When do we talk about part one of best? When do we talk about that? The best of the part one and part two about the seeds, all that, the HOH.
That's right now. That's day 64.
Great.
So Big Brother Cocktail Survey. So they're kind of doing it in two phases. Kind of like how he did it for our season. So phase one is that they are going to have a qualifying quiz, and basically that's going to rank them in order how they're going to be competing against each other in the second in the shareholders meetings. And so with the qualifying quiz, the note-taking that we said from the very beginning, and Jonathan has been very vocal about taking notes. It came into play. We talked about those song lyrics, and what it seems like people did was took the song lyrics, put them into Google, and then just gave all the lyrics to the song that whatever had those lyrics in from Google. Yeah, that seems like what they did.
What? Yeah, that's weird. And then but part one is 45 minutes, so they had some time to, and it's 7 questions. So, I mean, I think that's ample time to kind of, figure it all out.
If he said the following line, that doesn't mean the entire song lyrics, because you have to say the Bible. So I'm assuming that they just gave him the whole song or something. Whole song lyrics.
Yeah, I don't know why they were doing that, but that kind of comes into play with a lot of questionable actions this week. I don't know.
I mean, these are getting specific, guys. So pay attention because your attention to detail is going to be important.
Yeah. I'm worried.
Especially in staircase. I'm just saying it now. Staircase.
Like 5 hours long staircase, at least.
Staircase is very challenging. I don't think it's any secret that it's most likely going to happen because it's happened every season. And I thought I had really great notes. We all thought that we had really great notes, and we still mucked it up because of basically one clue that we all got wrong. And so we didn't use it as one of our potential combinations. Yeah. So get your notes straight if you want to win that one. Jojo's frozen. Okay, well, we're almost done, Jojo. We're almost done.
I'm almost there.
Was this? Oh no, that was next day. I'll stop.
And so with that, the only person that got 7 out of 7 was Nick. And so he is going to only have to really defend his position once, but everybody else is going to have to win their way to compete against him to win this particular head of household. So I actually like this competition a lot. Yep. I like that it had multiple elements. I like that if you did your homework, you're going to do well, which is what I like. And with that, basically the 6th to the 5th person to the 4th person, they all kind of play each other. The winner plays the next person. Yeah. Was it just the rules, or was this the actual thing?
I think that was the rules, because then I think today he talked about the results as well as the song.
So yeah, those were the rules, guys. But Nick ends up winning. We learned that on day 65.
Andrew also replayed. First of all, I want to say, Andrew, I didn't forget anything about last year. I just wanted to celebrate because we had that competition where we had to look at your pictures and everything. And I watched that video that you had. I watched the video of you singing on the cruise ship, your karaoke. So I just wanted you to do more of it. I wasn't forgetting that we heard it last year already. I just wanted it all the time.
Every time. Yeah.
Live.
Yes. Live. And he replayed it. And I'm glad he replayed it.
Or nothing. So poo power victim, or is he going to survive it? Well, as we know for this 2-hour podcast, that Curtis did not survive the poo power of veto, and he became the 3rd member of the jury.
Yes.
So we kind of already mentioned that people didn't pay any attention, so they didn't pay attention to the theme song. And then, so the second part of the head of household competition, they had to do averages of 3 different cocktails from the cocktail survey. So yes, you could pool information, whatever, but don't do the exact number. I don't know. I just felt that it's supposed to just inform you as to what maybe direction that you go in, but don't use the exact same number, and definitely don't use it as the exact same number as your alliance member who you're competing against. It's just, I just think it's really dumb. He gets kind of upset about the fact that people are sharing this information. I don't think that that's fair because
there's a lot of group mentality.
Well, we shared last year, but I wasn't honest with my answers. Jojo didn't even submit any or whatever. And so, I mean, why are you, like Andrew said, why are you being honest? I did not give honest answers. So the fact that 2 of them had the exact same amount, I was like, you guys are playing off the same set of information, which may or may not have been accurate. I don't think, but fully, but,
I used the information that I had, and then I tweaked it to what I thought it would.
Yeah, you were so good at that one.
Well, I was like, oh, that seems a little bit higher. Oh, that seems a little bit low. But it just kind of gave me a ballpark. You know what I mean?
But also it's averages. And CJ, I think, did one that was 17 or something. And I'm like, why would an average be on the high end?
Than 12,
Never.
13.
Yeah, I think the most was in and around that age, maybe 14. But I mean, it's always going to be in and around the middle, give or take 8 a few.
And 13. That's what I said always was okay, as long as it's between 8 and 13, if it's higher than that, I'll go down to the lower. You know what I mean? I definitely manipulated the average. It just didn't do the exact average.
I was like, what are you Anyway, okay. Choices. All right.
Choices. But I don't think that it's fair for him to get mad at people for sharing information because, like,
it's part of the game. He hasn't said that you can't. So, and you can. It's a good way to set people up too, which is what they should have done. Was give more false information.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I wouldn't have given false information, but you know, good to know that people would.
I would. No, I think I shared everything legit. I think I shared everything with you guys.
I don't think I had yours.
I shared everything with Jojo, and I think I was okay with, like, initially when I gave that out to you and Alvin. I think I was totally fine with that. But beyond that, no, I was telling people all sorts of lies.
Oh, in that case, yeah, that's totally fine. Like I was honest with you guys.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, no, Jojo didn't have any information to help us out with.
I literally started playing the game. Well, I found out about the game like 2 days before it started. So I was very last minute.
True. So Nick got 7 out of 7. He has the first seat. And then the order of the thing was 4 for Cat, 3 for Curtis, 3 for Brazil, 3 for CJ, and 2 for Marcin. So with 45 minutes and studying time, they still couldn't even get more than 4. That's so bad, guys.
I mean, unless they're just trying to like be like, we don't know what we're doing. We suck.
No, not at this point.
Let us come forward.
No,
let's move forward in the game.
I was like, what the fuck?
But I think that, like, this is a good opportunity for someone who makes it into the final 2 to be like, look, these people weren't even playing the game. Look what I was able to do. I deserve the win by a landslide, and I think that person may get it. But so you guys need to step up your game real quick.
I really can't like put a pinpoint on who the final 2 is going to be, what's going to happen. I don't think we can even guess. Even at final 6, I don't think you can guess.
You don't think so? I think I know. I think I know final 2.
I think I know how it's going to break down.
Depending on who wins that final 3 stuff, but I mean, I'm almost positive on who my final 3 are. And who I think is a likely final 2.
I don't know. I can't wait.
I'm not going to say it online.
Yeah, don't say it online.
Anybody over, but I'll tell you guys after.
Okay.
And so yeah, so basically Marcin wins his little face off with CJ. And then Brazil wins against Marcin, and then Brazil wins against Curtis, and then Brazil wins against Cat, I believe. And then, so now it's just going to be basically, well, they had that tie thing that happened. Okay, so yeah, so they had the tie, and then...
Yeah, that's what lost me, because then there was like 5 questions instead of 3 or something. It lost me. I don't know.
Lost.
Sorry, Andrew. Lost. But they had a tie because they used the same answers, and then he wanted to break the tie, so he made them resubmit. Mm-hmm. But it seems as though both times, like when Andrew figured out how to check the time, then Brazil did win. She did submit earlier, which is usually the normal rule breaker or tiebreaker, but he didn't think he was going to need a tiebreaker, which is hilarious. And then, so when they did the resubmit, Brazil did end up winning fair and square in the end. Yeah. So Brazil did win that one. So she's up against Nick now. So her versus Nick. And after that, Nick ends up winning head of household. Bum, 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 bum,
so Lindsay and CJ are protected this week.
Yeah, they are.
And yeah, there's only 3 people are safe and 3 people aren't.
The department twist has to be done.
We don't know. We still don't know. That was what we're going to ask him.
But that's what we're going to ask him.
Talking about it, we don't know. Hold on.
When is it done?
Department twist. We're literally talking about it and we don't even know.
Hilarious. Did I have anything else?
Because Andrew's telling me about some
influence on the jury house.
Say again.
You think Ryan's still gonna have influence on the jury house?
Can I just say that I think Curtis's talk was as long, if not longer, than Ryan's today, but it went so much quicker.
I know. I looked at it, it's like, oh my God, it's been an hour. I told him 20 minutes.
Oh, I have information.
Breaking news.
So I said, when does the department twist expire? And Andrew says, I ended it today.
Yay! Okay.
So I guess no one's safe. I don't know.
That's great. Awesome.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Bill, yeah. Oh, that makes me like. I wish it happened a couple things ago because like that would have been better in my opinion. But I'm happy that it's over now. Finally.
Over.
Well, I think we made it through the week. It was a sad one and a long podcast. Anything else you have to say?
Great week. Top 6. Congratulations. You know, should be really proud of yourselves for making it there. It's getting down to the nitty gritty though, so
study, guys. Study.
Yeah, study and
know your quick shit. Like, know what the votes were. Like, if there was renoms. Like, just like that's the stuff you should know off the top of your head.
And the people
also,
who
there's so much to know. Like, know past season history and everything.
Who was the last remaining person in each department? First out in each department. Like.
But I would encourage people to, you know, the people who are in power and know kind of like who, you know, are going to win this game potentially. They have everything lined up for themselves. So don't play into that. You know, flip what you need to flip, do what you need to do, take risks, you know, change things up. Because if you're not making the moves, then you are part of someone else's move. Mm-hmm. And at Final 6, you need to be making the moves.
Well, and that all has to do with winning. Right now, it's about winning. Because
win.
You're not safe. A, not safe anymore by your department. And B, you're not safe by having somebody else to put up beside you. Yeah. So if you are the more tempting target, you are going to be going home, like, unless you win. And so right now, like, as much as, like, I would prefer it just to be about social, but no, it's about comp wins and being on the right side of the numbers. And if you have the power, you're safe. So start getting the power, and a lot of these competitions are most like, other than Monopoly, obviously, but are going to have to do with some game knowledge. Like, is there going to be a Jeopardy? Was that like this late, or was that earlier?
That was, because Jojo won that on the week that I went home, which was this week,
So it might come up, because he hasn't had that many games that have been requiring knowledge.
Yep.
So that might be something that comes up. We kind of mentioned
it's a fun one.
I mean,
staircase. So
something that I did is I went back, and from this point forward, I looked at all the other seasons to see what games were played, so I had an idea of what I needed to know. So sorry, Andrew, if you wanted to just surprise them and they get freaked out and screw up. I want to give them a fighting chance. So go and do some homework if you want to win this game.
Go Jonathan's team. I'm proud of you guys. There we go. Okay, bye.
Good job, Brazil. Good job, Kat.
I'm not bitter at all.
Good job, CJ.
Anyways, please subscribe right down below. Hit the like button if you like this lengthy video, and if you made it to the end here, ring the bell so we can show up in your notifications that we have a new video out. And as always, I am at ShamFriendFriend on Instagram, or at Realnesss with 3 S's on Instagram as well. And you guys are, Jonathan's up here?
Jonathan Oliveira 1983 on Insta.
Boom. And we got the hair guy.
Joseph O'Toole.
All right, guys. Deuces. Love you lots.
Love you lots.
Love you lots.